Hey everyone, it's Lexi. So in today's video I'll be sharing with you all the books that I purchased over the month of October. So for being on a book ban since basically the end of August, I did a really good job throughout the month of September to not buy any books. But these ones, I feel like in October, like me and my boyfriend went to a lot of bookshops and he did end up purchasing the vast majority of these. He's an amazing guy, so I get very lucky with that. So we got some used books here, we got some new releases as well that I'm excited to share, and I feel like they're all over in terms of genre. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So a lot of these you will have seen in my Vlogtober vlog, so there might be some repeats in here, but there's also some new releases as well that I haven't talked about yet. And so first up for my used book haul, we went to Half Price Books, and so the first book I picked up was You by Caroline Kepnes. This is one that I've seen around BookTube for years and years, and I've never picked it up, which is surprising because I do really love kind of these type of novels, like kind of thrillers. And I do want to see the TV show, but I do want to see the book as well. And we were just perusing the the clearance section, and this one was literally $3. I was so excited. I was like, I can't turn that down. That's a good deal, and it's like the book's in good condition, so I don't know why this one was cheaper than the other ones that they had on the shelves. But I am not complaining. But this is told from the point of view of a stalker. So this man is stalking a woman, and he's saying like, you are doing this, you are doing this. And so it's kind of like his perspective of kind of following someone and stalking them. So I've heard really great things about this, and then once I read this I'll be able to watch the TV show, which is always good. But yeah, can't believe this is like a book I haven't read yet. So my boyfriend and I were talking about V.E. Schwab and how much we like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I was saying that I've only ever read that book by her. So he recommended the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy by her, and I've never read this, but it's one that I've heard a lot about, and he liked it as well. But I think it basically divides London. So there's Grey London, which is dirty and boring without any magic, with one mad king, George III. Then there's Red London, where life and magic are revered, and White London, a city slowly being drained through magical war down to its very bones. So I just think this sounds really interesting with the different worlds, and again, this is one that I've heard really great things about, and he really liked it as well, because we were talking about how much we liked The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So he's like, why don't you try out one of these? And yeah, they had a copy of it there, so I got lucky. But yeah, I'm excited to dive in. I know this is a very kind of popular fantasy trilogy here on BookTube as well, so again, another popular one that I haven't read yet. And next up, this is a book that my aunt wanted me to pick up and read, and I was able to find a used copy at Half Price Books there as well. And it is the Henna Artist by Alka Joshi, and again, this is one that she was currently reading, and she's like, oh, you would be interested in it. It's a little risque, but she liked it, so I picked it up. I was able to find it, which I was happy. So it says, escaping from an arranged and abusive marriage, 17-year-old Lakshima makes her way from her 1950 rural village to the vibrant pink city of Jaipur, where she becomes the henna artist and confidant most in demand by the wealthy women of the upper class, but trusted with the secrets of the wealthy. She can never reveal her own. So like I said, my aunt really liked this. She was reading this and she's like, you need to pick it up, you pick it up. And so I was like, if I can find it at Half Price Books, I'll get it. So I did. Yeah, she said it's a little risque, but we'll have to see. She said like I think this is also the author's debut novel too, and she said it was really good. So yeah, interested. This will be a little bit different than what I typically read, but I'm still really excited to pick this one up. Next, these are books that, again, my boyfriend also got me. We went into town to the bookshop, but we have like our little routine where we go into town. We go to the antique store, we go to the bookstore, then we get a matcha or chai latte at the coffee shop. And these were two books that I found. One of them was a new release that I just forgot to pick up in the series that I've been reading, and it is What She Found by Robert Dugoni. This is the newest release in the Tracy Crosswhite series, and for crime series like this, I don't like to know anything about the plot. I like just to dive right in, not knowing what to expect. But the general premise of this crime series is that we follow Tracy Crosswhite, who is a homicide detective in Seattle, and she ended up becoming a homicide detective. She originally was a science teacher, but she ended up switching professions when her sister disappeared. And so the first book centers around her sister's disappearance several years after the fact, and then we follow her on different cases. I like marathon this series back in like 2018, 2019, and I've been reading the new releases as they come out, but this is one that came out, I want to say in August, and I just forgot to pick it up, so I was happy to see that there, and I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, I totally forgot to pick this one up, so I'm happy to kind of dive into this one and continue on with this series. And then also from that book haul, or from that book buying adventure, I got The Bone Orchard by Sara A. Mueller. This is a book that my boyfriend recommended. He read this over the summer and he really recommended it, so when I saw that was there, I was like, you know what, I'll pick this one up. It sounds spooky, like a fun one to read over the fall winter months. And it says, tucked away behind a notorious house of ill repute, there is a garden where the trees are grown from bones and nourished by the darkest of secrets. The clattering, ghastly harvest is tended to by the women who live and work at Orchard House. Charm, the madam, and her haunting beautiful charges. Shame, justice, desire, pride, and pain. Except on Tuesdays when the emperor alone calls at Orchard House to see his personal concubine. Until the day he summons Charm instead to the palace to charge her with his dying decree. Choose which of his horrible sons will inherit the empire just by discovering which one has been responsible for his murders. If she completes this final task, she'll be freed from a life of bondage and servitude. Torn between the dead emperor's will and the whispers of her own ghost, Charm must choose justice for an empire she hates or vengeance at the cost of her own freedom. So it says, Charm is a traitor, a witch, a prisoner, a survivor. So I think this one sounds really interesting. And like I said, my boyfriend read this one and he really liked it too. So I've heard great things about this, and I haven't really seen a lot about this book too on like the internet as well. So it's kind of, hopefully it'll be a hidden gem. So I'm excited again to kind of pick this one up. And lastly, these are the books that I purchased for myself. So the first one, I listened to the audiobook for this in the beginning of October, and I was just blown away by this book, and I was like, I need to have a physical copy of it. It is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. And like I said, I was more of a Disney like girl growing up, so I didn't watch Nickelodeon, but I knew who she was. And you guys probably know so much about this memoir, but it talks about her kind of overbearing mother, and there's a lot of trigger warnings for eating disorders, domestic violence, domestic abuse, I guess you could say sexual assault as well, and it was just heartbreaking. My sister has read this now too, and then my mom's reading it right now as well, and it is just, I was just blown away with this. Like I said, I started reading I listened to the audiobook from this from the library and had to get my hands on it. I'll talk more about my feelings of this one in my wrap up for October, but yeah, this one is, I think it's a very powerful and important read, and yeah, that's all I'll say about this one for right now. So this is a book that was definitely a cover buy for me, and it is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. And yeah, I definitely saw the cover of this one, and then I read the synopsis and I was like, okay, I'll pick this one up. And it says, Emery Blackwood's life changed forever the night her best friend was found dead, and the love of her life, August Salt, was accused of murdering her. Years later, she is doing what her teenage self swore she would never do, living a quiet existence on the misty remote shores of Swarsea Island and running her family's business, Blackwood Tea Shop, herb tonics, and tea leaf readings. But when the island, rooted in folklore and magic, begins to show signs of strange happenings, Emery knows that something is coming. The morning she wakes to find that every single tree on Swarsea has turned color in a single night, August returns for the first time in 14 years and unearths the past that the town has tried desperately to forget. August knows he is not welcome on Swarsea. Not after the night everything changed. As if fire raged on at the Salt, family orchard, Lily Morgan was found dead in the dark woods, shaking the bedrock of their tight-knit community and branding August for murder. When he returns to bury his mother's ashes, he must confront the people who turned their backs on him and face the one wound from his past that has never healed, Emery. But the town has more than one reason to want August gone, and the emergence of hidden promises and deep betrayals spanning generations threaten to reveal the truth behind Lily's mysterious death once and for all. I'm really excited for this one. I like kind of small town dramas or like conflict that span years or like decades or generations in this case, and I think this also has like a touch of magical realism as well, and I used to really love magical realism. I read a lot of Sarah Addison Allen's books that have a lot of magical realism in them, but I haven't read anything since, and so I saw this and I was like, the cover is pretty and hopefully the inside will be just as pretty as well. So this was also a new release that came out this month, and it is Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton, and this is his memoir of kind of his upbringing, his Harry Potter days, and then his also addiction, or his kind of struggle with addiction and alcohol abuse. So I'm currently reading this one now. It's like a quick read. The font is very, very big in this one, but I do like it so far. Again, I'll kind of share more of my opinions on this in my wrap up, but yeah, I was excited for this. I feel like I just need like Emma Watson to come out with a memoir and I would be really excited, but I do think it's interesting kind of seeing the behind the scenes experiences of like having to grow up in that much of a spotlight and kind of growing up in front of the world, but what is actually going on behind the scenes I think is really interesting. So yeah, like I said, I was really excited for this one, so that's all I'll say about this one. Alrighty, so this is Editing Lexi. I forgot to include this one book, and it is the illustrated edition of Harry Potter and the Order of the Pheonix. I've been slowly collecting these as they've been coming out, and this book is quite the monster. It is very heavy too, but I think over kind of the winter Christmas break is when I will tackle this, but I always like, this is how I've been rereading the series. I've read the series only one time. It's too heavy to hold up, but read the series only once when I was in grade 9, and I've never read them since, so these kind of illustrated editions have been my way of kind of rereading them in a different format, and the illustrations in here are just really good. Let me see if I can find one, but we have like this, which is really nice, but I think it's just a fun, interesting format to kind of read them from, and I feel like Christmas is always like Harry Potter vibes too, so I'm excited. Like I said, I haven't read this since I was like 13, so it'll be like 15 years, so yeah, I'm excited about this one too. And finally, moving on to our last 3 books. Again, these are ones that I bought myself. The first one is If We Were Villains by ML Rio. Me and my boyfriend have been on a bit of a dark academia kick, and he read this one and really liked it. But yeah, like I said, we've been kind of reading our dark academia recently, and we've just been, you know, really onto that these days. But this is one that I found that he read first, and he liked it, so I picked up a copy as well. And it says, on the day Oliver Marks is released from jail, the man who put him there is waiting at the door. Detective Claiborne wants to know the truth, and after 10 years, Oliver is finally ready to tell it. A decade ago, Oliver is one of 7 young Shakespearean actors at Delacour Classical Conservatory, a place of keen ambition and fierce competition. In this secluded world of firelight and leather-bound books, Oliver and his friends play the same roles on stage and off: hero, villain, tyrant, temptress, ingenuine, and extra. But in their 4th and final year, good-natured rivalries turn ugly, and on opening night, real violence invades the students' world of make-believe. In the morning, the 4th years find themselves facing their very own tragedy and their greatest acting challenge yet, convincing the police, each other, and themselves that they are innocent. I just think this sounds super interesting. Like I said, my boyfriend liked it, and he said it was a very interesting take on dark academia. So, like I said, we've been on our dark academia kick, and I'm excited to kind of dive into this one as well. Next, this is an author that I've enjoyed for several years now, and I've always enjoyed her books that I've read, and this is her newest one that has come out, and it is The Lost Girls of Willowbrook by Ellen Marie Wiseman, and she writes historical fiction novels. So this one I just thought sounded so interesting. So it says, Sage Winters always knew her sisters were a little different even though they were identical twins. They loved the same things and shared a deep understanding, but Rosemary, awake to every emotion, easily moved to joy or tears, seemed to need more protection from the world. 6 years after Rosemary's death from pneumonia, Sage, now 16, still misses her deeply. Their mother perished in a car crash, and Sage's stepfather, Alan, resents being burdened by the responsibility he never wanted. Yet despite living as near strangers in their Staten Island apartment, Sage is stunned to discover that Alan has kept a shocking secret. Rosemary didn't die. She was committed to Willowbrook State School and has lingered there until just a few days ago when she went missing. Sage knows little about Willowbrook. It's always been a place shrouded by rumor and mystery, a place local parents threaten to send their misbehaving kids. With no idea what to expect, Sage secretly sets out for Willowbrook, determined to find Rosemary. What she learns once she steps through the door, and it's mistakenly believed to be her sister, will change her life in the way she could never imagine. I just think this sounds super interesting, and I remember learning about kind of these institutions in school through like some of my cultural anthropology classes, and I just think it's really fascinating, and to see a book kind of tackle in to this I think will be interesting. And it kind of reminds me of her other book, What She Left Behind, that kind of involves with these like institutions. I remember really enjoying. So yeah, like I said, I'm really excited. I think this is a little bit different, but I think it will raise really important questions and discussions of kind of these institutions, you know, back in the day. And lastly, this is one that just caught my eye, and it sounded like it would be like a fun book to read around like Halloween and kind of the fall winter months, and it is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandanna. And yeah, I thought this sounded really interesting, and I've been really into kind of Halloween witchy books recently. And so it says, as one of the few witches in Britain, Micah Moon knows she has to hide her magic, keep her head down, and stay away from other witches so their powers don't mingle and draw attention. And as an orphan who lost her parents at a young age and was raised by strangers, she's used to being alone and follows the rules. With one exception, an online account where she posts videos pretending to be a witch. She thinks no one will take it seriously, but someone does. An unexpected message arrives, begging her to travel to the remote and mysterious Nowhere House to teach 3 young witches how to control their magic. It breaks all of the rules, but Micah goes anyway and is immediately tangled up in the lives and secrets of not only her 3 charges, but also an absent archaeologist, a retired actor, 2 long-suffering caretakers, and ... Jamie. The handsome and prickly librarian of Nowhere House would do anything to protect the children, and as far as he's concerned, a stranger like Micah is a threat, an irritably appealing threat. As Micah begins to find her place at Nowhere House, the thought of belonging somewhere feels like a real possibility, but magic isn't the only danger in the world, and when peril comes knocking at their door, Micah will need to decide whether to risk everything to protect a found family she never knew she was looking for. Again, this sounds just like a fun Halloween witchy book, like which I said what I've been kind of into recently, and I do like the kind of modern twist on some of these witches' tales. I feel like a lot of books that center around witches kind of take place in the past, but I do really enjoy books that have like the modern setting and the kind of modern day, you know, tackling of integrating witches into modern day society. I think is always fun. But yeah, this is a book that I saw at my local bookstore, and I was like, this one just sounds like fun. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll wait till next October to read this, or you know, just read it throughout the fall and winter. But yeah, it just sounds like a fun book to read. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what some of the books that you purchased this month were and all that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.